Just one normal day at Norwich City. Will it ever happen? I don't think so. Obviously, the news is broken, obviously, that JHT has been sacked. Obviously, Freddie, Jack and Henry all gave their thoughts last night, and I'm now going to try and do so myself. And I think my overriding emotion over this is probably sadness, to be honest with you, because it felt like, especially if you were to go back probably since August, there was a lot of fan buy and the morale was just so high and just so kind of looking forward to actually to what was ahead. But then it felt like as each month went on progressively, the performances got worse and all of the kind of external factors got worse as well. For me personally, I don't know. As I've said really all podcasts really across the season really that I've probably the last 2 months I've been a bit dubious about this project now. But I kind of still had that gut instinct that it might work and it might pay off. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case as of late for me, especially. I think there's many factors to it. Why maybe JHT might have struggled, especially. Look, I think the first thing to probably say in defence of Ben Napper and probably Zoe and all the board members as well is that if you were to look at our performances actually probably since pre-season, to be honest with you, in terms of defensively and our kind of overall structure, it was very wayward. There was no real kind of fix of our structure really. It felt like that teams were finding it so easy to score against us, and that happened way too much really. And I think especially what you're seeing this year, especially in the Championship, and how teams have been very successful, is that they have a very good reliable foundation, and I think that is what Norwich definitely didn't have. And the thing is, although you could point at the players and stuff like that, the main person which is probably responsible for that is JHT, right? And obviously that structure really wasn't kind of rectified all season. It was a bit wishy-washy. There was no real kind of enforcer in there to break up the play very often, and I just feel like that factor definitely did have an influence in probably why he got sacked. But I look at it and I look at three factors really for me especially, and I don't think one of these factors probably hasn't been spoken about enough, but the injury crisis, I think for me, he probably had to deal with two, and that's probably when we had quite a bad run of form. And it feels like if we got more wins during that period, when we had better players fit and players weren't maybe risked, as much as they were. I look back to the Lewis Dobbin example, probably actually even more as well. The Eurosec one as well at times as well. It feels like if JHC had more players available to him at the time, then maybe he might have lasted longer. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And I've actually said this actually in a podcast now for a while. I could probably name you an injury crisis right now in the last 5 years of this club. I look back to last season when I think maybe that it was the game against Blackburn at home. We had the likes of George Long in goal, and many other players out as well. But if you were to also look at the season before, I think Wagner's kind of first year at the club, I think towards the end of that season, we played like Blackpool at home, and our squad was just so young, and I think all of our kind of experienced players were out. Then you also look back to obviously the Premier League campaign as well, which Falk had to deal with at the front. At the start of the campaign actually, when there was quite a big kind of crisis in terms of fitness and kind of injury related issues as well. And then obviously as well during that season as well, I think there was a massive kind of crisis actually towards Christmas as well. And I think we played the likes of Adamida, Plaheta and Zolis in the front line, and I think there was so many players unavailable as well. So for me, especially when I'm looking at the injury crisis over the last 5 years, I think there's been so much examples. And I think, especially with Norwich right now and the resources they probably don't have like available to them, probably as much as probably Burnley or Sheffield United, or probably the likes of them coming down like Leicester might have, or Southampton coming down as well. I just think if Norwich are to compete more frequently, they need to have the best players available more often, and it just feels like over the recent times that hasn't been the case, annoyingly. And then as well, I also look back to the likes of Shane Duffy, Cordoba, and Roger Signs. They've all had this year, and also as well Hernandez as well. All four of those players have had some sort of issue in terms of discipline, and that really isn't ideal, especially for a young head coach as well. It feels like JHT had so much to deal with in terms of that as well, and obviously he chose maybe to out them publicly, but I think probably fans actually appreciated the transparency there as well. So it's a situation there for me where I don't think he could have really won at all there. Obviously, for me, that's down to the players, but yeah, I just feel like that as well was also a reason. I think missing the signs for so many games was a massive crisis for us as well, because our team just looked so weak in attacking areas as well. And as well as that, at the time, it felt like Sign was actually in form as well across that period as well. So that for me was quite sad as well. And then as well, I think you also have to look at players making mistakes as well. I think the experienced pros these last few games have been quite poor. I think I probably actually go back to the likes of Christmas touch, and a few like Duffy and Nunes, for example, and even Cordoba as well. It feels like none of those guys have showed great consistency this season. And those guys like your Duffy, your Nunes's, your Signs, your Sargents, your kind of McLeans as well. Those guys are supposed to be your flag bearers of this project, and also even Angus Gunn as well. Those guys are supposed to bring those levels of consistency. And for me, it just feels like this year that hasn't really been showcased, to be honest with you. And it's kind of led to those younger players trying to have to kind of make up for those issues which the experienced players have caused. And that just isn't a very, very reliable kind of outcome for the team, really. And it just makes it a bit more muddled, and it just makes us a bit like lacking confidence and pretty much as well belief as well. And that is just so important, especially to have those players there that kind of provide consistency. So look, it's definitely an issue which Norwich have to resolve. I feel like they have to bring in more players in a window that will show better kind of overall performances for me, especially because Ben Napper now has got a real task on his hands. He's obviously he thinks that he's had enough from JHT. Obviously, for me, I would have personally liked him to have the summer to bring in players that kind of fitted his play style a bit more structured. To be honest with you, because it felt like for me, especially in recent games, there was glaring holes in this team, and it felt like open heart surgery on this squad was needed. And I just felt like we've always lacked that kind of CDM figure in there to kind of break up play. And I think when obviously JHT's kind of structure out of possession was to play in quite a passive manner. I think if you had to do that, you need like a real strong ball in midfielder in there, and I don't think we actually had that. So for me, I think there was many issues from a squad perspective as well. But obviously, it's very difficult to try and find the right players. We all know how hard recruitment is, but hopefully this summer kind of can change the narrative, and Norwich can actually try and recruit some players which can help us towards our long-term goals. But now, obviously, this is Ben Napper's second sacking in not even a year, so it's definitely been quite a very busy period for Napper, and it feels like this summer again is going to be very busy as well. But hopefully we get to see more good stuff from him in the coming future. But for me, definitely, I think the more kind of decisions he makes which go badly, the pressure only rises for me as well. So that's definitely something to look out for as well. And I just definitely wanted as well to touch on the academy as well from this perspective. Obviously, I do run the academy pages on Twitter and Instagram, and I don't think people understand how kind of how much buy-in there was by the academy staff in this as well, because the under-21s were playing this style week in, week out, and to be honest with you, they did have real issues with it as well. The team just looked so at times just off it in terms of play style and confidence, really, because when you have to constantly play a style which is which has actually caused you so much issues in terms of error into goals and just overall kind of structure of the team, for me, it does cause issues for the coaching staff, really, because it feels like they could easily have adapted to the play style, the likes of Ollie Lee and Alan Nielsen I'm speaking about here. I'm sure those guys would have wanted to play a bit more pragmatically and try to be a bit more rigid, but unfortunately, it felt like the main thing which Norwich had to do really was to try and build alignment with the academy and the first team as well. And I think definitely it was probably the right way to go about it. But overall, now you kind of look at it and you just think, what a waste of time, honestly. It just feels like, for me especially, academy football is very quick, and the cycle just goes by instantly, really. And it feels like in order to kind of get the best out of those players, I feel like some players right now who maybe are going to get released at the end of the season, they might be a bit annoyed actually, because they could have maybe flourished playing a different style of football. But obviously, Norwich would probably have had a plan coming into this summer window, and kind of if they were to start JHT, which obviously they have now, there's definitely going to probably going to be some sort of alignment there in terms of play style as well. So maybe it isn't all doom and gloom, but it definitely feels like for me when the team, especially the under-21s, were suffering so frequently, it really felt like they could have maybe just of changed formation really, because it just felt like they were really struggling with it. But anyways, thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Massively appreciate it as ever. Your support recently on this channel has been absolutely fantastic. I'm sure Freddie, Jack, and Henry are equally as grateful as I am as well. Please do, after you've watched this video, go back and check the live stream which Jack, Henry, and Freddie did yesterday. It's about an hour and a half long, but they made some really good points as well. And definitely please watch it back if you can. I'm going to leave a link to it as well in the description as well if you can't find it as well. But thank you very much, guys, for watching. We all massively appreciate your support. Leave a like, let me know your thoughts as well. But hopefully some good times are ahead for Norwich in the near future. All the best, go well. Cheers.